Monday Parshas Kisovoi, Tovshim Pei Beis. There's a letter in the Sefer Priya Oretz. Priya Oretz is the Sefer of Rav Mendel from Vitebsk. His kever is in Tveria. On Rosh Chodesh is his yortzeit, the big crowd that goes to the Tzion, to the kever from Rav Mendel Vitebska. So there's interesting letters in the back, and Michtovim. One of the letters, he writes to people that they wrote to him that they have a very big tzorah, terrible tzorah. That, as we know, in those times they had the kretschmers they used to give to drink for the, how do I say it in English? They gave for the peasants, but they gave to drink. So from time to time they had these issues with the poets that they took it away from them and they made it gzeira that you're not allowed to have it. And this was a very common, very, very common parnosa for those people. Arender, yeah. Arender. So now they wrote a letter to Reb Mendel Vitebska. He should poil Yeshua for the gewaltige gzeira that they're losing their parnosa. And he writes to them that I'll tell you the honest truth. I'm not very loiniv halti milishmoya. How do you explain that? I'm not very worried or very disturbed. Maybe that would be more accurate. I'm not so disturbed like you're making it sound. Why? So he says, I don't know why you're getting so out of shape, as we would say today. Because the Eibusha is now deciding that this specific siba shouldn't anymore be a reason for parnosa. Chazal say, "Eina nius mina umnus, eina shirus mina umnus." You don't necessarily strike it rich or something because you are now investing in a certain area. When Hashem wants to give a person money, he has money. It doesn't make a difference. He says you could have your business in any. It doesn't make any difference what you're working in, what your job is, what you're investing in, whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference. All it is that a person has to have something that they're doing in Asiya in this world, so the bracha could be chal, like we always say. But if Hashem has a reason that right now this specific area, this specific way of parnosa shouldn't anymore be a mahalach for parnosa, so that's fine. Hashem is going to decide that now we have to be masak in something else. So I'm not disturbed at all. And he continues on. He says even a bigger chiddush. He says Elofi daiti va'atzosi. That means if you would listen to me, even if the gzeira from the malchus would be bottled, I wouldn't go back to that. You're so worried that the terrible regime, let's call it, the Medina, the malchus, gave out a terrible gzeira that Yidden are not allowed to have this kretschme anymore. They're not allowed to give to drink for the peasants. For that, even if the malchus will take away the gzeira, you're asking me to be mevatel the gzeira. If the gzeira becomes bottle, I think you should drop it, because there was a kitrug on it. He says you could tell that from Min HaShamayim it's being pushed. The Yidden are being pushed out of this kind of parnosa, so you don't have the brocha. You wouldn't have the brocha anymore. It wouldn't make any difference, he says, and he brings from the Baal Shem Tov, from the Maggid from Mezrich, Ma ichpas lanu biishtanus asiba. Why would you care? Why would it make a difference for you that Hashem decided that the siba for parnosa, the channel that you're using, that you should get parnosa through that, changes? It shouldn't be a reason. He says, Adarabba, now try something else, and you'll met Hashem have a lot of atzlocha and brocha. Now, of course, this Yesod is built on the big Yesod of the Chovis Avos. That's where we're up to right now, what we're learning. That it doesn't make any difference what the person is doing, as long as he's trying to do his shlichus on this world. It's not going to make a difference that if he's going to do something else, he'll make more money. Like people are constantly thinking and brainstorming, like they call it, how they could make more money. A person's supposed to brainstorm if they're utilizing their koiches. They're supposed to brainstorm if they're utilizing their time properly. I mean, sometimes people are working a lot of hours, but they could be doing better things, more important things. So a person should constantly look at themselves if they are doing what it makes sense, that they are doing their shlichus. But there's no such a thing brainstorming to earn more money. It's not emes, because the mezonos of shalom ktsuvan le'ladam Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah, and all a person's supposed to do is doing what's right. That's what they're supposed to be focusing, and then it just comes in from wherever it is. Now, the interesting twist that we're learning in this letter from Priority is how a person is supposed to look at it when they're in a situation that they're losing their parnos. That's the twist. It means sometimes a person that loses their job, or a certain industry, I was missing the word, a certain industry is now going down because they don't need it anymore, because the world is continuing on with technology and whatever. Now they don't need it anymore. I remember I was in the airport, so when they made it all electronically today, that you just scan your passport on your own and the ticket comes out. You don't need a person to be there. So in the beginning, when they put up all those stands, they had a person there helping you. So I asked the person, he said, so are you always going to have to stay here, or eventually every person could just walk by themselves and scan it and walk through? The guy tells me, I hope it doesn't work out for them. He says, right now I have a job, but it looks like this job is going to finish, it's going to end. So sometimes people put in that into a category of Yisurim. The Priors is saying, I don't think it goes into the category of Yisurim. Not Yisurim, a person feels he lost his job. The company just fired 30% of their workers because they're more efficient. Every day this happens, right? More and more and more. So they just they have now a computer doing it, and they have everything, they have programs that do it on their own. They don't have to have people transcribe what doctors are saying, all of that, medical transcription and all. They don't need it anymore. It's an industry that's dying out. And you lost your job. The Rebbe Lutevsky is saying, I don't even think it's Yisurim. Maybe if a person didn't learn Chavis Alvavis, so they're totally lost, so they have Yisurim, so now they have to be Mefashor Shemaisav to learn Emunah B'Tachon, so you shouldn't have. But a way to look at it is that, okay, I'm being shifted from place to place. To be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing next year, that's true. It's not the most comfortable spot to be in when a person doesn't know, but if a person works on himself, it's even more comfortable. He knows it's in Hashem's hands. He doesn't have Yisurim, he doesn't have Tzara Guf, he's not going through a terrible parsha in his life. It's only the worry. It's only that a person doesn't know, so what's going to be? It's the skier. No. Tomim tiyem Hashem lekecha. Al ta'kacha asidus. But Hashem didn't punish you. That's why it's so important to chap that. A person feels that I just got a slap across my face. Now before I decide what I'm going to do, I'm devastated. I'm devastated because Hashem just shook me up. I'm the worst. I was doing such Avedas. It's not this sugya.
Like when the world went from horses to cars.
Yeah, exactly. The world went from horses to cars. Nothing happened. But there were people that they were selling the horses. Okay, so now you'll sell cars. Or you won't be in this industry anymore. You'll look for something else. I mean, real estate. It's all day. A person is working. It doesn't have to be that the industry is dying out. The Prior is talking about a malchus that gave it a gzeira. Antisemitism, and the busy anti-Semites and this and that. The Prior said, I don't understand why you're looking at it that way. It doesn't make a difference. That's not the topic. It could sometimes be in real estate, like I mentioned, a person is doing, and it's just not working out. The first deal they made, the second deal they made, they felt, I'm going this way, one day I'm going to be billionaire. Because, Baruch Hashem, I understand to it, have a geschmack to it, and then one deal went sour, the other deal they're stuck. They're stuck with something for 2 years for some crazy a document that's not being signed or whatever for the bureaucracy and whatever. And Hashem is taking them to a different job. It's not always that it's Yisurim. Now, if they're going to be struggling for 2 years without any parnosa, okay, that could be the Yisurim, even though it was triggered by losing for some reason your job. You didn't have parnosa for 2 years, and it wasn't simple at all. And it entails a lot of, all the details when someone doesn't have parnosa. Whatever happened to the house and the children, and they were really going through a rough time. The rough time is Yisurim. But that is mafashbish b'maisav. Maybe I'm supposed to add time to learn. Maybe I was doing something wrong. I'm missing. You said it's emunah b'tochen, but that has nothing to do with the beginning of it. That's a separate issue that a person that doesn't have parnosa. It means he has to fix something. Hashem wants to bring the person closer. He's helping the person not just wander in life and not think about, not to focus on the main tachlis of why a person is alive. But the losing a job is nothing. It's mamish, simple. Sometimes it happens because of all the different ways how Hashem makes that people should change jobs sometimes, and a lot of times it's by surprise, mamish by surprise, and it's very shocking, very disturbing when a person loses their job. They have their comfort, they have the mahalach, how they do it. They don't have to now start from the beginning. But that etzem zach is, Hashem is playing with the world, and Hashem created it b'dafka like that. B'dafka. He doesn't want people to start being boiteich and asiba, to start believing that only if I have this, that's when I have parnasa. If I want to have this siba, I want to have parnasa. So Hashem, b'dafka, deliberately decides to move around people, so people should remind themselves, it's lav dafka that this is bringing me my parnasa. Now, let's take this to the next level. Now, a person that doesn't have the job, and they want to know what they should look into. Should I look into the same industry that I was in? I'm good at it. I feel I have the experience. Should I look into something else? So, as we saw that the Chabez Havavis makes a strong point, the person should look where his kelim are, what his kishroinis are. But last week, we mentioned that in addition that a person is supposed to look what they're good at and what they could do the best shlichus to the world, a person is also supposed to look around to see what did Hashem prepare for me, what opportunities are coming my way. That's how a person could see what Hashem hasn't planned for him. We discussed, and we have to chazit, a person has to take it in very deep, that the reason why a person is supposed to be doing what they enjoy to do is not because he's supposed to be enjoying a job, and take something that you enjoy, so like that, you can have a good time. Even though it's true that you're supposed to be enjoying a job, that's true, and there's nothing wrong about it, adarabba, that's when a person does it with a chiyas. But the underliners, it's in the bottom of it, a person is supposed to know that I'm working for Hashem. I'm not my own balabos. I'm totally not in control. So I'm constantly listening what Hashem is telling me. And I do what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm evet. Hashem told me to do this, now I do this. Doesn't have to be that I'm thrilled. Doesn't have to be that I love it. I'm doing it because I'm evet. I'm honest about it. I don't actually love it. If Hashem gave me this kishroinus, it means I'm supposed to invest in this area. So it's a bittul to the Rebbeinu Shalom that a person is doing what they enjoy to do. Bittul doesn't mean that you're supposed to now be having suffering and pain. Bittul means that the state of mind is that I guess this is what Hashem chose for me. I didn't choose it. So this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And the same is the place where a person is. Reb Shlomo Karliner, the Beisan quotes it in Parshas Vayetze. Rashi says on Kriya Shema in Parshas Eschana, Rashi says, "V'ahavtas Hashem Elokecha b'chol avavcha v'chol nafshecha v'chol ma'odecha." So Rashi quotes the Gemara, the Mishnah in Brochus, "Lo yehei lipcha cholok al hamokim." So the literal taich to these words is that mokoim could sometimes mean the Eibishter. Vayivga b'mokoim in Parashas Vayetze. What Rav Shlomo Kadira said, Lo yehi lipcha choluk ala mokoim. You should never be fighting the place that you're in. If you're now living in a certain place in the world, you feel, why do I have to be busy? I wish I could just live in, there's so many more from people, and I could have so much more, sometimes it's people that live in small communities, they muchazach with shidduchim a lot. Where do I start from? I don't have right now from right here. People are upset at the place where they live. Lo yelib chochalak lamokim. Hashem put me here. I guess I'm supposed to serve Hashem from here. So a person is taking their kishronis into that category in their mind, that Hashem gave me this. I guess I'm supposed to be doing this, and Hashem gave me a bonus that I enjoy it. So now, when a person is out of a job, in addition to looking at what my kishronis are, a person is looking what comes their way, and if nothing comes their way, this is what we want to touch this. And he says, okay, I guess I davened. I don't see that actually I'm getting phone calls. The shidduchim sometimes feel like that. The phone is not ringing off the hook. Nobody's calling. So now I guess maybe I should do something, and maybe I should put in a bracha. So they try. I want to touch a certain area that we didn't touch yet. So they try something, and it doesn't work out. So they want to consult. They go consult, and he should tell them. He says, try again. Does that make sense? Yeah. Sure, it makes sense. You tried. It doesn't have to mean that you're a total failure. Maybe you did it wrong. Give it another try, right? Even by shidduchim, you say that. I think you should give it another try. You can't know from the first time. Like, I gave it another try. Failure again. What's the Das Torah about it? How does the Torah look at it when a person is looking around and trying something and failing and trying and failing? Like, how long am I supposed to continue investing and trying? Very hard question. And it's hard to give a black and white, because sometimes it entails more to it. It means the person saying, I tried. It's not only that he tried, he invested $1 million and then he invested another to save his $1 million. Well, every day this happens. Hashem took it away, the $1 million from him, and now he's saying, okay, if I just have this, then I could still save it. And then if I could just have this, it's a little bit like Masachik Bakuvia, when people are betting. So they lost and they lost again. They're saying, yeah, but the next time I'm going to win. So that's a certain part of it that's very, very tricky. But that's already money. A person is not allowed to now borrow more money, because you have no idea how you're going to pay it back. And there is no right now, derech hateva. You are now you got sucked into a galgal. It's a roller coaster. You got sucked into a whirlpool more than so. I'm not talking about that, about money. We're talking about just the concept of a person that's trying to do something and it's just not working out. He doesn't see that he's being matzliach. So we have a Maimar Chazal that talks about it, and then there are Chassidish Sorim that continue to talk about it. The Maimar Chazal is which is a very broad Maimar Chazal, B'chlal Lav Dafka on this, that when a person is pushing too hard, he gets pushed away. A guy wants something very, very badly. Don't push, stop pushing so hard. And time is going to come, it's going to come. If it's not the time, then don't push it. Now, I can't hold back from elaborating the concept on its own before we go back to the Parnosa part of it. It's very, very wrong. People that are very, very pushy. It's not right hashkafa. It's not a right hashkafa most times. It's sensitive because there is a musik of he doesn't take no for an answer. But you could see how a person does it with Hashem. Now a person does it without Hashem. There are people that they misamen matara. That means they put their finger on a certain goal and they say, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And then they don't take no as an answer, and they just turn over the world to make it happen, and they make it happen. There's two ways how to do it: the right way and the wrong way. The wrong way how to do it is by pushing people to the wall, because you have to bring the result. So the guy says, I can tonight. He says, but I'll offer you $50,000 to do it tonight. He says, but I can't do it tonight. You do crazy things because you want to be the koichev etzim yodi guy to make it happen. Even when it's ledvar mitzvah.
I'll get a
sometimes.
guest of honor for the dinner.
I didn't want to say it. But it's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to get a certain guest of honor for this every single day. Yeah? And the guy says no. And you call and you push and you make it. The guy said no. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's not the Rebbeinu Shalom. You know why it's wrong? In the moshel of a guest of honor for a dinner? Because why does he want so badly this guest of honor for a dinner? Why is he turning over the world? Why is he convincing the guest of honor that it's going to be the Shem Shemaim, even though he knows just because he wants to make a lot of money by his dinner? Why is he going so crazy? Because he wants to make money by his dinner. And he's convinced that this guy is going to bring him the money. Now, I don't care if you're making money for the biggest, best organization in the world. You disconnected from the Rebbeinu Shalom right now. You're beteging something. You feel that I have to do it like that, and that's how I'm going to make the money happen. Who told you? Who told you? Why do you cry to the Rebbeinu Shalom? You should be a shliach to help people with the organization, whatever you have. You're not doing it that way. You're planning the party planning, this and that. That's what we find. I'm sorry for ranting. the dinners, they become lower and lower and lower. Some of them. You're taking people down to such a ramah under the floor. Why? Because they want to bring out money, but now if I'm not going to bring the best singer and I'm not going to do something crazy, then people are not going to come because they feel they have to do it. They're pushing. Don't stop pushing. Stop it. It's Chazal's sake. What's going to happen is you're falling, and people get so into the klipa of it. They get into it's a koichas atumah. When someone gets into koichas atumah, they see in their mind, they're wiring their brain. You see, I made $10 million because I did something crazy, and it's not true. Because if it wouldn't be bashet for you to $10 million, you wouldn't have the $10 million, and you could have been a yid, and you could have not been machshel people to eat bosser behema, chveisvosdorten, and whatever. You could have got the same $10 million the other way, but you got stuck in a gal that you and every time you go lower. Every time you go lower. I'm going back to the Nakuda. It's so important. It's chaval, because people they're doing good things, but they're doing it the wrong way. In Ashkafa, there's no such a thing that hamatara mekadeshet et emtzaim. Could you say it? The end justifies the means. Not always gehalten zach api Ashkafa. The end doesn't justify the means. No, it doesn't.
I'm going to make it happen.
I'm going to make it happen. It's chas v'sholem. Atena zogen, there's a right way of being a little bit pushy. You want to know the right way? There is a right way when a guy says, he's humble. He talks to the Rebbeinu Shalom, and I see it. People do it. I'm talking to them. People do it. They talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom. They say, listen, I wanted that should happen because I'll give me the Rebbeinu Shalom. I thought that was going to be. If it's Basher Tebish, to make it happen. Make it happen. Crazy nisim happen. The guy calls and says, maybe you need a darshan. It happened. I'm going to be there anyways. I want to do one mitzvah for free. Non-normal things happen. The Rebbe puts into a person's mind. Talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You want to be pushy? Talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom. If you feel you didn't do enough as tadlis, you could try one more time to say, maybe we should think it over. Maybe we should. Let's think. A person allowed to do more is boinus. Let's think. Maybe there's a way we can make it happen. A lot of times it's atzla samoyach. You want to do a mitzvah, and this atzla samoyach says, no, I can't. Why can't I? No, I'm busy that night. Maybe we could rethink it. Either way. Make it rethink it. Make it push it another night. He thinks for 1 second, says, I could. That's a richtige mahalach. The person's supposed to try. You're allowed to give it a second try. You're allowed to do more his boinenus, but the way that people do it, it's so horrible. It's so nisht. You could see how they're drifting away from the Rebbeinu Shalom. They're drifting away from the whole Yesod that we can't do anything. We're supposed to do what's right, not to make things happen. When you push people, not good things happen. People, you see, machlokas comes out when you push someone. The person is upset. Why'd you push me? Why'd you push me there? I said no 100 times. Why'd you force me to do it? It's only a sign that you're doing what's wrong. It's not wrong because you're causing machlokas. People lie in the middle also.
Sometimes when you're trying to push someone that person is saying no, not because of a real reason. It's by shidduchim or whatever.
By shidduchim, you bring up a person saying no because of not a good reason. You're allowed to sit with the person and open up a new mahalach of avona. You're allowed to do that. So listen, maybe we could come Tuesday night, we could discuss it again. Maybe he's being zachtoya. The guy says, no, I don't want to listen to Shumoifen. You're allowed to call back the guy afterwards also and say, maybe Motzei Shabbos, 5 minutes. You're allowed to do that. But that comes when a person says, I'm not making it happen. I'm not making it happen. The chassan comes back from the Bisho, he says, nothing doing. You're allowed to say, maybe you want to give it another try. You're allowed to say that. Why? Maybe we could discuss it. Maybe we could discuss it why you said no.
To discover the girl had a fever that night.
Yeah. I'll say the story that I was the shadchan, the shmashana. Many times, a certain shidduch, the guy said no. Think about it. The ganze Meises in his bar gewohnt. That it was a stuk lachatz, a pressure. It happens every single day. What's wrong with discussing it again? Even a guy said a slamming no. But that's when a guy says, listen, I have no idea. And here's the point. It comes back to the Yesodis of B'tochen. We got off target, but this is the Yesod of B'tochen. When a person davens to the Rebbeinu Shalom, it was called Cheer 24 in the Yiddish Yurim. And we said in the English Yurim back then, 3 years ago, this Cheer, maybe it was called 24 there also, I'm not sure, but it was said. How does a person know when they daven? If it's pashet for them, this is supposed to happen because of neshamas. This person is supposed to be nifta, and Hashem is not waiting for my tefillas because there's a certain neshama that's supposed to come to the world. There's a system here, and I'm supposed to be mekabel sum ahava. Or Hashem is waiting for my davening, and if I daven one more tefillah, the neshama could have a refuah. How does a person know? The answer is I don't know. And every time a person daven, the person doesn't know he has both avenues. And a person says, listen, ich weiß nicht, I don't know. Hashem put me in that I shouldn't know. I daven my whole heart that if that's what's supposed to happen in another tefillah, I'm davening from the bottom of my heart. I know you could do it. Hashem could give it a fuah. And I'm going to try to become closer to you. And I try to serve Hashem better. If there's going to be a fuah, help us. Let's see your koiches. On the other hand, while I'm davening, I know it's one side of the picture. It could be that there's a toiv that's supposed to continue. It's going to be a toiv anigla the other way, even though it's so painful for me to think about it. And if that's the case, a toiv beinecha aseh. A person doesn't know the end result. A person knows what I'm supposed to do right now. That's how a person davens. That's what a person does when they, by a shidduch, when the chassan said no. The chassan. Afterwards he became a chassan. The boy said nothing talking about. He says, maybe we could discuss it. He says, you could come discuss it, but I'm not changing my decision. When you shadchan come to speak to him, you should come. Even if he said that. You should discuss it with him again. But you shouldn't decide, listen, I'm making this happen. No, that's what's so wrong about it. You say, listen, I have no idea. No, I invested 3 weeks in it, this was. Let me hear. Ich weiß nicht. If it's the wrong thing, do I want to make it happen? I don't want to make it happen. Let's hear. Maybe it's something that's how you go. The selbe Zach, whenever a person, the guy wants to bring this guest of honor to his dinner, the guy, stop it. You're allowed to discuss it again. You could call again the person and say, could we discuss it again? I think I have something that I didn't mention. I think there's a certain point I feel that you could do, maybe it's your shlichus, I don't think anybody else could do it, and it's a dvar mitzvah. You could say that. But you didn't decide the end result. These guys, before they called the first time, they already printed. That's how it is. This is what's happening. Now we'll see how many times we have to lie, and how many times we have to call, and how many crazy people we have to send. What's that? The Chazal look at it and they say, Nebuch. The person totally drifts away from the Rebbeinu Shalom. It's a way of life. In the house, with people, in Parnosa. Now let's speak about it in this, where we're up to, in this context. A person's trying a Parnosa. It's the same thing. I don't know if this is, I'm trying a new field. I don't know if I'm good at it. I'm going to open up a clinic and I'm going to help people with something. I don't think there's enough people that have this knetch. He has something he has to offer. Could very much be. Should I try? Yes, you should try. A week time, I advertised, nothing happened. Should I continue trying? Yes, no doubt about it. Why? Maybe you didn't daven enough. Maybe, I said maybe you did. Maybe you didn't, you were missing one skill that in the Seder Olam, you can't do this. You have to come, maybe you should speak to a mumcha, one little way how to come across the people you didn't do. Maybe it's not pashert. So how do I know? You don't know. It's the same concept of tefillah. So what should I do? You should try one time. You should try a second time. The Loshen from the Pele Yoetz. The Pele Yoetz, the famous Pele Yoetz, Rebbe Lezer Papa, he has a Sefer Chesed La'alofe. Like he has a Sefer Pele Yoetz, a Sefer Chesed La'alofe. He says like this. If you push, you get pushed away because you disconnected from Hashem. If you wait for Hashem, calm, then Hashem is going to come closer to you. So he says, a person should have a simen b'yad ha'odam. Al kol min eisek. He talks in this context. Val kol tova sheyirtza la'asis. Im bolo yadover b'neikel b'siyata d'shmaya. If it comes, yasav yatzliach ki Hashem imboy. If he sees that he's trying, it's not going, you could stop after a while. Lo yeroide v'doichik ala dover b'aftzora rabba. It doesn't mean that it's never going to happen. It means right now wasn't the time yet. Right now wasn't the time. Maybe we could wait a little bit. People say, no, I've tried that 5 years ago. No, it wasn't. Then it wasn't the time. You could try it again. Right now wasn't the time. Now, there's a sefer, famous sefer from Polish Toiris, from the Polish Tzadikim, Ramasayim Tzoifim, Reb Shmuel Shineve, that was his name. And he brings there from Rebbeinu from Pshische, from the Kotzke, from the Vurke, a lot of all these tzaddikim from Poland, beautiful Werte. So he brings there that Bilam told famous member from Rebbeinu from Pshische. The Bilam had this situation. A big part of this conversation that we're having, that we're learning tonight, is in Parshas Bolak. He wanted to go, but Hashem said no. So Hashem gave him one siman. He didn't want to take the siman. So what did he do? He tried again. Hashem gave him another siman, and he tried again. So he said chotosi. So there's a famous Rebbeinu said chotosi kilo yodati. I didn't know. So Rebbeinu said that the tithe from chotosi kilo yodati means that Bilam's chait was that he didn't understand that if Hashem shows you 2-3 times, he uses this word 2-3 times, you shouldn't go, then you shouldn't go. Why didn't you pick up that Hashem said no? Hashem said no, right now the time didn't come yet. The same concept is brought down in Kedushas Levi. He says, why did the Malach get so upset? Iyadiyah means, why didn't you understand the chap? Now, before we go to the Kedushas Levi, I want to elaborate on what you said. Sometimes a person says, how could you tell me that I did something wrong by not chapping? I didn't chap. You know when a person doesn't chap? When a person is in a different world. It's an amazing point what you're saying. When a person is called, the balabas calls him and tells him, I give him a pink slip, he says, you're fired. He says, what? You don't mean me. He says, yeah, you're fired. And pick up your bag and go. He says, what? When? He says, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You're totally not hopping. You're arguing with me every day about the jobs that I'm telling you to do. Right? You're coming late, and every time you were right. Every single time you were right. Now the worst of all is that you're in denial. You're b'chalal not here. You see, if something would go wrong, we could discuss it. But if you're totally in a different state of mind, b'chalal, you're not b'chalal. That's my problem. That's my problem. I once was there when I was in the standby when someone was fired. I wasn't watching him, telling it to him, but I was talking to the people behind the scenes. I was observing it. I learned a lot. I was young, and I was watching an older person fire a worker. And he told me the night after he did it, he had to talk, the one that did the job. And he told me I didn't sleep last night. This is the worst. This is Gehenna for me to fire someone. I don't ever would want that you should have to do this thing. But kids, Agav, sometimes if a person knows how to do it much, much more with tefillah, with so, a person could have a lot of siyata d'shmaya in this field as well. People don't know. People think it's like, if this is the sugya, then it's not so emes. I've watched people fire, and they had such siyata d'shmaya, not once and not twice. They cried, and they davened to Rebbeinu Shalom, and they fasted, and they did tshuva, and so they figured out a way, and nobody was upset, and there was no hard feelings. It's fascinating. A person should know about this. But anyways, I wanted to bring out a different part of the story. He told me I didn't sleep last night and everything. And then I was discussing the back and forth. So what do you tell him? He says, listen, I told him that if you don't want to come at night, you have to come more hours. Then I don't think it's for us. So maybe we shouldn't continue. Maybe for the next year, we're going to I'm going to go where I go, you could go, you can continue because you have to come at night. So I said, listen, he's foolish for asking not to come at night, because he ran straight into this, that you should be able to fire him. That's what I said. So the person told me like this. He said, no, that's not foolish. He doesn't want to come at night. It's very hard to come at night. What was foolish is they didn't chop where he's standing. It's so powerful in our sugya. He's supposed to chop that right now is not the matzav to ask for it. A person doesn't want to come at night. It makes a lot of sense. It's very hard. But if you chop that you're here on a here, your whole parnos is hanging on here. Now you're asking, could I also at night? I'm planning not to come at night. That's foolish. They didn't chop where you are. Our problem with the Rebbeinu Shalom is that a person says, I didn't chop. I totally didn't chop. I'll tell you exactly why you didn't chop. Why didn't you chop all the simonim that Hashem is giving you? Because you didn't open your antenna. You're not listening to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You don't want to hear what the Rebbeinu Shalom has to say. You made an end goal. You're going full force, 100 miles an hour. He says, you didn't see I was blinking? No, I didn't see the blinkers. Because you didn't look in the mirror. That's the point. The not to be doichikas hashah is, will you please look in the mirror? You never drive in this world without looking out. Say, I'm right, I'm wrong, I don't know. You take a step and you're looking, Hashem lets. You see 10 simonim, you stop. It's such a shot that people don't know this. It's such a akmas nefesh. People get stuck in the Kedusha slave. He says the same topic with why the Malach was upset. He says the Malach was upset because they realized that Bilam had a goal. He's going. And now, whatever happens, he's just going to push. He's going to do this, he's going to do this, he's constantly going to push. So the Malach said, why didn't you chap? Back to our Nakuda, it's in everything in life. It's of course not only in Parnosa. But the concept is, a person is in a Parashas Drachim. He's like, where do I go now? I don't know. The plan in this world is the same way a person doesn't know when the person is going to have to say bye to this world. Yom HaMisa. That's how Hashem wants it to be. It's better for us not to know. In that, we mentioned many times the Gemara and Psachim, in the 7 topics that Hashem wanted a person not to know. And one of the things is from what he should have parnasa from. It's in that regime of things. That means when a person finds out, so what should I look for a job now? So what should I do? So I'm totally lost. Oh, okay, that's the plan. It's not even called Yisura. The system of the world is that it's better for us not to know, as a person does tshuva, it's better for us not to know where I'm heading to. So I could try, I can see if it's going, I try again, try a second time. When a person if a person is looking out for that feeling, he's hooking on to that, he's looking for that feeling, if Hashem lets him or not, then he's going to start smelling, he's not seeing it. Once a person hooks on, he starts seeing. Like if a person he wants to know if the people around him are happy with him. He could see it on their faces. If he's looking at outfit, he could see in a second if they're kind of like cold in the morning. He could see it, he could feel it. With the Rebbeinu Shalom, a person could see. Many times a person makes himself as a simon. It says in the Sefer Pi Tzadik, it's Torah from the son, not Pri Tzadik, Pi Tzadik, from the son of the Shineva, the Chechneva. That was his name. He was nifta very young. So he says there, he says like the Einikel writes already, Adoni oviskeni moran Rav HaKodesh mishineva, be'im lo telases eze dovo v'nase ikuvim chutz migedra rogel. It's a very good Hagdorah. Chutz migedra rogel, mona atzmai mizeh. Then he stopped. A person sometimes normally kuvim, it's normal. The guy's climbing up the bike, he says, I'm schwitzing, it makes no sense. It makes sense. It's fine, you should continue. A person is trying to be mechanech on the first try, he failed. It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. But if a person has ikuvim chutz migeder rogel, a lot of times, that person said no, the other person said no, stop. It's not that person that's saying no. It's the same in Hashemayim. You can go right. So a person should see if the failure of the person is chutz migeder rogel. That's when a person gets the feeling you could stop trying this and wait a little bit. It could be this is going to come back. By shidduch a lot of times it's like that. It might come back. It's a fascinating how tzaddikim, even in today's generation, they say it's going to come back. Many times. It's fascinating. It's a line that's shogar on Lashonis from the people that are the real tzaddikim. It's still going to come back. And it comes back. Because it's a ma'amah chazal. It's like this, when a person has such ashkafa, they could see that the show is not yet ripe. Right now, in my mind, I remind myself of a shidduch. This person is marrying off children. But I remember when he got engaged, then it didn't go. There was a problem with the names. Also, it wasn't. The mother was nifta. His mother was nifta, and he was a yosim. Then the shidduch happened. Okay, it couldn't happen before. The show wasn't ripe. It has to like match up and the person, it has to be like tshuva, and it has to be cheshbonis, and then it can match up. By pushing, you are only getting further. In the Goyish world, they're preaching the exact opposite of it, and it ruins people's lives legamri. Don't take no for an answer. So call him again. No, so you didn't do that. You're not going to make money like that. It's not going to work like that. You have to be very, very pushy. The guy wants a meeting. Make it happen right now, this second. He can't. There's no thing he can't. So you're going to come with all the. I'm telling you. And what's the klip of the tumah from it? That they say that's the only thing that helps people make money. If you're not going to do that, you're not going to be successful. You are going to do that, you are going to be successful, and they show it to you black and white. Black it is, white it isn't. They get you into a sheker that you could do it, but only if you're very, very, very pushy. Now, it's not atzlus. That's tricky, because there's people that don't like to make phone calls. It's important to say it. When are you going to call him? Okay, tomorrow I'll call him. That's called atzlus. Why not calling him? Because not comfortable. Because it's like kochas hanefesh to call. You're allowed to push someone to make the phone call. Because Shlomo Melech says, you got to do your job. But a person has to sense it. Atzlus, I'm fighting Atzlus. The same phone call in Kibbutz of Aim that a person, call your grandmother. Okay, I think tomorrow I'm going to call her. Then you're going to fight it because you know that it's Atzlus from doing the right thing. That you should fight at work also. Why am I not doing it? Because I'm Atzl. That you should fight. Why am I not going for an interview? The guy's sitting 2 years without a job. Someone says, I think I have a good idea for you. I have an interview tomorrow. No, I don't think I can go tomorrow. Why? I don't know. Tuesdays, I don't like Tuesdays. You should be pushy. You should be pushy. You could sense it. It's not so hard to sense. If it's pshat is, Hashem is saying no. Hashem is saying no. So why am I being so pushy? Or if it's atzlus, I would rather just sit and cry. I'd rather just sit and say how everybody is so crazy. You have these people. No. It's not so hard to identify if it's this or that. Not so hard. If a person is honest, I mean, one of the klolim in being a Erlich Yid is you got to be honest and be very observing what's going on inside. Because if not, you're just going to do everything wrong. If a person is honest, that's wrong and this is right. It's the same what we said before, but sometimes there's a good mahalach of Shoah Dechakta and sometimes there's a wrong mahalach of Shoah Dechakta. The right way is, like we said with the boy from the Basho, let's think it over. Maybe we could do something. You let her brainstorm for a Ryan, for a chap. Let's think how we could do something here.
The approach of being pushy, like the one that let's say you're not going to get it anyway. It is a good approach. You have to do the Eivish, you have to do the Gishan, to go with such a thing. If you want to be Matzlich, you have to...
If you want, okay. So he's saying something, we have to say it even clearer. He's saying the approach of taking a light that are going to work and getting up there and giving them a course and whatever and telling them, listen, one of the main klolim is you got to be very pushy. Nothing's going to come. If you offer to a company or whatever and they said, okay, we'll think about it, they're not going to call you back. You have to make the phone call and ask them, so what happens? And when should I call you back? The problem, let's finish the sentence. You said that it's a right approach. You just have to help people do the right way. So I want to clarify. The problem is that it's being conveyed. I mean, the way right now in the world, in the Goyish world, and it's happening it's coming in the Goyish Ashkofa to people that are trying to be Erlich Yidden, and they're being pushed the other way, is so stark with the way that being pushy is because you're going to make it happen. That right now we have to be pushing the other way, like the Rambam says by Derech HaMamutz. It doesn't mean you should tell people to just sit back. No. It means it's so important to explain to people, if you're going to be pushy this way, you will succeed because you're working on yourself not to be a otzel. If you're going to be pushy the other way, you will not succeed because you're going to be in Misrachim from the Rebbeinu Shalom. That means, I want to say it out very clear. If I get up and I have a very, very a medicine that's very sharp, very scary, very powerful. I have a good dogma. The cleaning sprays that they sell before Pesach. What's that? The one that they use for the ovens. All these things. And if I sell it, if I'm trying to, if I want to be an Erlich Yid, I say, listen, it's massive. But listen, this is not a joke. This is not a joke. If you want to use it, you have children at home. There's no such a thing leaving it around. There's no such a thing, like when you give a person a license for a car. A car is a beautiful zach. But it's a gate, you just take a car, you have a license. You don't have a license. I could put you in jail sometimes. When you are telling people to be pushy, it's nuclear, because you're just saying be pushy. You're giving him methods out of Bizach Mesachim from the Rebbeinu Shalom and runter oidam haza and oidam haba. But not being an osel is true 100%. So the only license to give over this message is if you come and you say, listen, Rabbi say, there's a mussar called being pushy. Let's explain it. Let's learn it. This is the right way. This is the wrong way. The wrong way is terrible. And explain why it's terrible. It's terrible because not only it's not going to help you, this is going to bring you further and further and further away. You have to elaborate it. And you help people see. Okay, you have a dogma on the table. Take a scenario. Is this called atzlus or is this called... That's how you help people. That's gewaldig. That's how you help people. Be normal. Let's not forget that when people are pushy, chochmas chaim, a lot of times it's time in the world, they're ruining everything. The guy's looking out for a job. They were going to take him. But he was too pushy. How many times? Yeah, in a shidduch, I witnessed this many times. A person, she was going to say yes. They were after, I don't want to say how many shows. She was going to say yes. He was too pushy. He, in his mind, the shidduch was yesterday already. He already was after. He says, okay, so what do you need? So tomorrow, she wasn't there yet. She needed time. So people were trying to be meramazim. Don't talk like that. You have to understand. It could take another 2 months. She's not ready. She is not ready. That's it. That was the end. If you're teaching people to be pushy, you're killing them. Why are you doing it to them? You have to understand that in business, this is a very simple zach. It's a very important zach. Yesod in Yiddishkeit, and always Yiddishkeit with Chacham Chaim work together. It's not like it's a stira. Kula haiva ulai. Okay, for now.